Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight Games podcast for episode 138. Today we're talking about alarm clocks. Very gaming chic. Halo is changing things up and we're getting rowdy because today I'm joined by the Dirty Dogs, GWTMori and JakeTwitchin. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
An honor.
Hell yeah.
A pleasure.
Good to be here.
Maury, how you been since, was it a few weeks since you've been on? I mean, we've done the RE5 streams, but on the podcast, it's been a few weeks, I think.
Yes. Yeah, it's been a minute. I've been good. Saving democracy, one 12-hour shift at a time. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah, so I've been a little out of commission as far as streaming goes, but when I am streaming, I'm having a good time. But everything's great. I'm chilling. I
love that. And Jake, I see you every day just doing the thing on twitch.tv/JakeTwitchin. AmazingStreamer.com, right?
AmazingStreamer.com.
That's good.
Just relaunched.
Ooh.
I'm doing great. It's good to be here. Good to be back. It's only my second time on the show, but I feel like I've known all you guys forever.
I know. I mean, we did grow up together. We didn't know it, but we did.
Shared trauma.
Exactly. We got a lot of video game stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live, normally Tuesdays, today, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. But since the schedule changes from time to time, follow us so that you're notified when we go live so you can be part of the conversation. Spooklight streams are in full force this month. We've already streamed Little Nightmares and Silent Hill 2, which I will be talking about in just a few minutes. But be sure to follow us on socials to see what we're going to be streaming next week as we continue streaming a spooky game every week here on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. But that's not all, because next week, me and Maury back with another RE5 co-op stream. Did we say Monday night before our little secret meeting?
Yes, I believe so. Yes, sir.
So I think it's either going to be 7:30. Follow socials. You're going to know exactly what the deal is, but it's looking like Monday, so stay tuned. And finally, join the Discord. We got a fun little Discord where we discuss what we're playing and generally goof off together about video games. So if that sounds like something you'd like, click the link in the description or find it in the bio of our socials to join the Discord. We like to start each of our episodes here at Spotlight Games with what we've been playing, and this week is no different. So, gentlemen, what have we been playing? Maury, let's start with you, big dog.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have been doing a little series on Twitch called The History of PlayStation, where I am going through and I am playing each major first-party developers' products from over the years under Sony. And I started with Naughty Dog, and I've never beaten The Last of Us Part 1 or Part 2.
Whoa.
Until this past week, I beat The Last of Us Part 1.
Let's go.
Yeah, and it was awesome. And then guess what I did? I jumped straight into The Last of Us Part 2. I'm sorry, Patrick, you told me to play Left Behind first. Fuck all that shit.
That's okay.
I gotta see it, man. I gotta see it. I gotta see what happens next. I gotta watch Joel go golfing. And so I have gotten all the way up until the point where I believe that Joel goes golfing, par 4. And it's amazing. I've really fallen in love with the games. I'm surprised that they haven't clicked with me all these years. I knew one day they would, and I've been loving my time. So I'm playing The Last of Us Part 2. I might even play some more tonight. We'll see.
We'll see. You're looking to be particularly naughty today.
Oh, very naughty.
Maury, I gotta say, it's been really fun watching you play, because for those that are in the chat, I mean, I see Cog in the chat, I see Pinksy Gaming in the chat, I see D-Guns in the chat. These people, they know how much I am just a sicko for this franchise. I love being hurt. I love feeling empty. So it's been so nice watching you play this game. And now you're in Part 2. So it brings a warmth to my cold, dead heart to see you playing this franchise, and especially knowing that you're actually liking it this time. So we call it a W.
It's a W.
If you hear from twitch.tv/JakeTwitchin, W's in the chat. How about that?
Yes.
Maury, anything else you've been playing that you want to talk about?
Dude, it's literally, again, the work has been fun, but it's resulted in very little gaming. I am hoping to carve out time here in 5 days for Neva when it comes out. I'm hoping. Yeah. God, I'm excited for that. I'm excited. But that's it for me. That's it for me.
Okay. JakeTwitchin, how about you, big dog?
All right. Well, what a segue. I just played, is it Gris?
So this is a ongoing debate mostly from confusion. And what I have heard
correct.
most often, especially lately, now that I think people's minds are a little clearer, is Gree.
Yeah. Yes.
I have heard Gree is the answer.
Yes.
Okay. I played
Squonky Joinkers in the chat says Jake about to rattle off 16 games.
Also correct. Every time I'm asked this question on a podcast, I just I scroll 14 days back, and I will tell you everything that I have played since then, and then I'll get into Gree just a tiny little bit, which I played for the first time, and I did it in just one sitting, which was such a perfect little fun time. But I played Barbie Dreamhouse Adventure. I played Zelda Echoes of Wisdom start to finish. I played Fortnite as Mrs. Incredible, as one does. I started my Sonic 06 playthrough, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, Life is Strange Before the Storm, Metaphor Refantasio, Smurfs Dreams, Sonic Adventure 1, Finding Nemo for the PS2, and Infinity Nikki.
Okay, so I have 3 games that I would like to hear a little bit about for each of them. Maybe 4 if we're feeling naughty. The first,
you go crazy.
The first, Finding Nemo. Let's talk about that. I think it's the most relevant of all the titles that you just said. How is Finding Nemo on the PS2, Jake?
Holds up surprisingly well. They don't try to reinvent the wheel. That is not a 3D video game the way that you thought. It's basically consisted of like kind of 2D platformers that almost play out like an underwater level in Donkey Kong Country, and kind of like an on rails. It's not even a shooter, but I guess it controls sort of like Star Fox 64 or like the gummy ship missions in Kingdom Hearts. Only you're not shooting. You're just kind of avoiding stuff and swimming through circles. Surprisingly difficult for a children's game, but very fun and anger evoking.
Fuck them kids.
Yeah, so real.
That's I might have to find a PS2 to play a little Finding Nemo on the PS2.
Very good. It's very
wild pick. Wild
pick. Number 2 that I want to hear about is, for those that have been long with Spotlight Games, they've probably seen the episode where I just lost my mind about a Barbie game on the SNES and the Sega Genesis. So Barbie Dreamhouse Supermodel, what was it? What'd you call it?
Barbie Dreamhouse Adventure. It came out last year for the Nintendo Switch.
Scale of 1 to 10. What are you thinking?
It's like a 7. It's surprisingly cool. If I was like a dumb idiot or a child, I would have a lot of fun with that game, because there would just be a lot of like customizing my house and making it different colors, and it would just take so long via the terrible UI to make the whole floor blue that it would just eat up a lot of my time, and I feel like I could customize a lot of things.
All right, Mori,
but as like a 2-hour standalone stream to check out this video game, what a treat. What a treat in 2024.
Let's go. I'd love that you just stream the most chaotic shit on your Twitch channel.
Yeah, man.
But to actually talk about games that matter for the year 2024, Metaphor Refantasio. I that's one that I actually still don't know how to say. You played the demo. Have you played any of the main game yet?
No.
What'd you think about that demo?
I thought it was very similar to Persona in that I appreciate it, but I don't think I'm going to have the time for it this year, which is crazy because I have nothing but time. But as you can tell, I play a vast variety of games, but I always say the same thing. I said it last time I was on the show. I play a lot of a little and a little of a lot. Yeah. And it's tough for me to dedicate what it will certainly be 80 plus hours. And if it's stream time, more probably closer to like 120 hours to actually get something done there. Sure. But it seems more up my alley maybe than even the Persona games do. I would say there's a better shot at me spending time in Metaphor than there is anything else, but the bones are good.
Yeah, okay. I love good bones. Here's a making of question, a behind the scenes question. Some that, I see a lot of folks in the chat from your channel, which, thanks for being here. Mm-hmm. Feel free to hit that follow button if you want to have some more
come on, chat
content here. But because you're on Twitch so often, every day of the week, sometimes multiple days a week, every time multiple days a week, or I mean multiple times a day.
Yeah, I think I stream like 12 times a week.
Okay.
Is about what it boils down to.
How often are you not streaming your time playing a game? Or do you basically just play on camera?
It varies. I play the stuff that most big streamers play on Twitch off stream. So I do like my dailies in Marvel Snap off stream. I play my ARAMs in League off stream. I will hop into like Apex or Fortnite off stream, and I'll play with like friends off stream. Is primarily what it boils down to. I have lost pretty much, I would say, like my time that I would have spent playing like, oh, it's such a fun time to go back to Mario 64 every year. That is something that I've given up in favor of stream, but it's all in the process of figuring out like what works and what doesn't. And as you can tell, most things work. As far as like what games I choose to play, but for the most part, streaming as much as I do has changed the dynamic and the relationship that I have with video games, but for the better for me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. The reason I was asking was because, I mean, a game like Metaphor, you're not playing that thing on stream like that. That would take months, I feel. And so it's like, that's a game that you're going to play off stream if that happens much. Last one I want to ask you about, and then we have a tiny bit of housekeeping before I talk about the games I've been playing. Echoes of Wisdom, a game that we talked about a good bit last episode on the channel. We had friend of the show, Cognitive who's in the chat. Thank you, Jordan. Kisses and love.
Hell yeah, Cog.
We talked a lot about how much we liked this game. How are you feeling about Echoes of Wisdom? Is it like a game of the year contender for you, perhaps?
Red hot, tough year to be a game of the year contender. It is my third favorite game of the year behind Astrobot, which is my second favorite game, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is game of the year with a bullet, and like game of the decade and like game of the lifetime.
Whoa.
But I like that game a lot, and I honestly like started on it. I was fairly hot on it, and I got hotter and hotter, and I actually finished the game today on my morning stream. So I ended up beating it. It took me about 26 hours. I estimated it was like probably 6 hours of dawdling and making fun of my own chat, and then 20 hours of like actual gameplay. And I pretty much beelined it. I didn't do the side quests. I don't think I did a single side quest. I never cooked a single thing. I didn't make a single smoothie in the entire game.
You've always said you hate smoothies.
I do hate smoothies and all healthy foods, but I really ended up liking the game and the mechanics and the quick pitch. I always find myself having like this like kind of like quick sentence or two spiel that I can give you about any game, because I get asked so many times throughout a game's like playthrough as people come into chat like, hey, what do you think? Hey, what do you think? And I usually get it down to a couple sentences. And for this, I was surprised the whole way through how much DNA it shared with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, as opposed to like outside of visually Link's Awakening and things like A Link to the Past. I really loved the problem solving. I loved the way that I was thinking outside of the box and watching other people play it differently than me. And it ended up just being a really, really charming and fun game. Loved it. Probably a 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I am aligned, Jake. I'm having a really good time with it. I've not beat the game. I would say if I were to guess, I'm a little less than halfway through the game. Like I'm on that kind of second round of dungeons. And I'm having a great time, and totally agree with how much this game is like Tears of the Kingdom. And that's in fact like kind of my favorite part of the game. How much I can just like break the shit out of it from top to bottom is great. A couple quick things, and then I want to talk about a couple video games myself. Cognitive Clips, the aforementioned, gifting a sub to one Squonky Joinkers. What a beautiful thing. Thanks for doing that, buddy. And then also Drupal in the chat. We pinned the pun here. I've taken that from Maury. We pinned the pun. He says, I got a broken drum for my birthday. Well, no one's going to beat that. We're pinning the pun. Thanks for being here. Leviticus DH, first-time chatter. Diet Ice, first-time chatter. We love to have you. Thanks for being here. To close out what we've been playing, a couple games I've been playing that I want to talk about. First one, very quick. Today, for those 90s children like myself, Backyard Baseball 97 launched. $10 on Steam, on sale for $8.99 right now. A cool 10% off. Give me that $1 off. Played a couple games. The mighty Melonheads are already 2-0. Pablo Sanchez having a tough start to the season. He's batting like 250, which is a bit surprising if you know anything about Pablo Sanchez's career. But if you know Backyard Baseball, if you played it as a kid or as an adult, you know, illegally via emulation, allegedly, like I did a few weeks ago, it's Backyard Baseball. Having a great time. I will say, I think I kind of spoiled the fun a little bit by playing an emulated version like a month ago. But I'm having a great time. But we also found out today they're doing all of them. We're getting soccer, basketball, hockey, another baseball.
Oh, wow.
Big news coming out of the Backyard franchise. So if that's something that you're excited about, I will just say it is going to be exactly what you think it's going to be. It is the exact same game as it was back then, which is, for better or worse. And then last night, right here on twitch.tv/SpotlightGamesPod, me and my beautiful wife, Rose, played the first 3 hours of Silent Hill 2, a game that I've been very excited about. If you've listened to our Fantasy Critic episodes here on Spotlight Games, it was my #1 overall pick for my team. Got me a cool 17 or 18 points, which is, I'm not going to scoff at that. There's been a lot of drama with Fantasy Critic, which we'll catch you up on at the next Fantasy Critic check-in. But let's just say Cayman's not in first anymore, which is huge. Big moves have been happening.
Who's in first? You?
Your boy.
No way.
Wow. Some people are screaming collusion. Some people are screaming that we've broken the rules.
Stop the steal.
Trades. Stop the steal. But Silent Hill 2, but yeah, played the first 3 hours, and I am pretty shocked to say I am quite disappointed in Silent Hill 2 for a game that's getting as good of reviews as it is. I feel like we had more fun last night, just like goofing off and kind of bashing the game than playing the game.
Wow.
Had a lot of fun with the folks in chat, and we're goofing, having a good time. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like my two kind of main takeaways right now from the game, and I'm going to keep playing it. So like this, my opinion very well might change. Subscribe to the podcast. Well, I'll be talking about it probably next week even. But I'm a little disappointed in the graphical fidelity, but that honestly, graphics don't play a huge role for me in like how much I overall enjoy a game. But I feel like there is always something to be said about survival horror, typically having more fidelity than the average game because there's just less going on, right? Like combat is a lot simpler than something like an action RPG. Typically they're not open world games, so like there's just less being built. It's law of numbers.
Sure.
If that's even a law. I think I just made that up. So it's just like a little disappointing when the game just kind of looks not great to me. But the way it feels, I'm surprised at how so far Silent Hill 2 feels way closer to the PlayStation 2 version than I think it should. Like as a game remade from the ground up in 2024. Granted, I just got the pistol at the end of the stream, so like I've only been using the 2x4 with nails or whatever. But like when you're in combat with these enemies, I just feel like it's really kind of tanky and not in like a fun, nostalgic way. And like, if this is frustrating, I'm not having fun way. So a bit disappointed out the gate in Silent Hill 2. I'm hoping that, with how many good reviews are out there, like I said, 87, 88-ish on Open and Metacritic. So I feel like I'm definitely in the minority so far. So I feel like there must be a turn where it starts to feel a lot better, because there's no way that the game that I spent 3 hours playing last night, people are giving 9s. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't feel that good to me. And also like a weird thing, I played the original the first time 2 years ago in October for Spotlight Games for a horror bracket stream that we did, a bracket episode, putting 64 horror games against each other and choosing the best one. And I was like, I had a lot of missing pieces in my history of survival horror. So it's like, I got to play Silent Hill 2. I got to play like Amnesia, some of these like big pillars in horror.
Of course.
Had a great time playing Silent Hill 2 that first time. And like last night we were having this kind of interesting quandary, I feel, where because this game, now has 2024 graphics and there's just a lot more detail and a lot more clarity, kind of felt a bit weird just like beating the shit out of only women in this game. Like like all of the enemies being just like these women in like burlap bags with like high heels. There was like something weird about just like stomping on the head of what is clearly a woman. And just like, you know what I mean? Like there was just like this weird, I'm having like a weird reaction to this. And Rose was the first one that noticed it. And then we talked about it a lot last night on the stream too. So gonna play it a lot more and kind of see where I land on it. But so far a bit disappointed in Silent Hill 2, the way it feels specifically. So are either of you going to jump into Silent Hill 2 though?
I was planning on it. Yeah. Ironically enough, that was one of the games I was planning on playing as soon as election season was over. And now hearing your thoughts, I'm excited to hear more of them because that's very concerning. I never played the original Silent Hill 2. You know, my youth and inexperience has kept me from that experience. So I don't have anything to like weigh it against or measure it against. So I was like, oh, this is the spot that I should jump in. It was the same with me with Resident Evil 4. Hearing that is a bit concerning. Concerning.
So we'll see. Yeah, like I said, I'll report back. I'm hoping that I have a bit of a 180 on it. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we've been playing, y'all. We got Heartless in the chat. Welcome to the show, Heartless. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, baby?
We're gonna jump into our first news story of the day. We're gonna ask the question: what the fuck is an Alarmo? Pulling from VGC. Nintendo has revealed an interactive sound clock called Alarmo. This is Tom Ivan over VGC. It's going to be available at retail in early 2025, priced at $100, but Switch Online members can get it now. Nintendo has announced an interactive alarm clock called Alarmo. In addition to playing sounds inspired by Nintendo games to wake up the user, the clock reacts to body movement by playing other sounds from the company's games. Users can snooze the alarm with gestures and end it simply by getting out of bed or by pressing a button if they prefer. Alarmo can also keep a record of the user's movements while they're asleep. In the US and Canada, going to be at retail early next year for $100. However, Nintendo Switch Online already said that. You can also get it at the Nintendo New York store if you live in NYC. Alarmo responds to your body's movement with game sounds so you can feel like you're waking up in the game world itself, according to Nintendo. Set an alarm inspired by 5 Nintendo games with more alarms on the way as free updates as they become available. Nintendo says users can choose from 35 scenes inspired by Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 3, Pikmin 4, and Ring Fit Adventure for some weird reason. So yeah, it's essentially, it's an alarm clock that is themed as Nintendo stuff. My first question, not really what the fuck is an Alarmo. It's clear that it's an alarm clock. Who is this for? Is my first question.
Jake, go ahead, talk to us because you're the only one. You're the only one.
I don't know. So here's like when as I was saying it, as I was reacting to it on stream, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna spend $100 on this. I will spend $100 of my chat's money on this here in the background, though.
Oh my
God. So I'm waiting for the big September payout, and if it's still able to be purchased in a few days, I will spend my chat's money on it, and I will unbox it with them and show it off, and probably keep it here in the background, and not really use it as an alarm clock, but maybe just as like a clock. I think it'll be cool, but I don't know. I'm a sucker, and there's something about like Nintendo physical design and that plastic that they use, and like it does aesthetically look pleasing to me despite it looking like a Fisher Price clock.
That is true. They are really good at it, even making an alarm clock weirdly look appealing, just visually, for sure. Mori, is this something that you would ever be interested in buying?
I mean, okay, $100 is a really steep price point for an alarm clock, no matter what noises it makes at me. Okay. Like, listen, that's steep. The other thing I'm wondering is how accurate is like the motion detection? Like, am I waxing on and waxing off and it's still screaming at me? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I would go out and buy this, but I do agree with what Jake said, which is that Nintendo's design is interesting. It's the plastic. It's something. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I mean, I will not spend $100 of my chat's money, but you're going
to spend $100 of Jake's chat's money. Is that what?
Yes, exactly. Guys, sub goal right now on Jake's channel. Go check it out. Good times. Yeah. What about you, Pat?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. There are some things that I will buy for the bit, but $100 feels a bit much for the bit to me.
Yes.
Unless like I just stumble into an extra $100. Because I'm not one. I'm very fortunate that I don't rely on an alarm clock to wake up, and so I don't need that's not a need for me. So I don't need to actually fill it. More so, I just think it's so goofy that this thing even exists, and like the choices that they have made, like some of them make sense to me. Like obviously, you're making a Nintendo alarm clock. Mario is going to be included. Zelda is going to be included. Why the fuck is Ring Fit Adventure one of the choices? And also, in this video, which doesn't have sound that I'm sharing as B-roll, when they show the Splatoon 3 segment, it just sounds like warfare. Like,
yeah, Battlefield.
It's like, who wants to wake up to a battlefield of ink or a battlefield of anything, but specifically of ink? So it's like that's just a really weird choice to me, doing a Pikmin thing. But then I know, like they said, coming later is going to be Animal Crossing, which why isn't that one of the first 5? I don't remember what the other one is that they teased.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. I feel like an easy one is like Stardew Valley, but like, so my next question then is, what are some layups that you guys think, or goofy ones that you think, like, what should we bring to the Alarmo with these free online updates that they're talking about?
If I may,
please.
Why is Metroid not mentioned?
Oh, sure. Cognate is going to love that pick.
I feel like there's some extremely iconic sounds in the Metroid franchise. That might just be me, but I feel like Metroid should totally be a part of this.
I don't disagree. Well, I mean, it's not one. I don't disagree because I think it has good sound. I don't know the sounds of Metroid. I've not played enough Metroid, but just as a like flagship Nintendo franchise, totally makes sense. And again, if you're doing fucking Warzone sounds from Splatoon, there can't be sounds in Metroid that don't also fit the bill. Yes. Jake, what about you? Anything missing from your purview here?
Yeah, I've got a pretty long list, and I stuck to first party Nintendo, but like the first thing that I think about is, I guess, existing. They went with very specifically Mario Odyssey and very specifically Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I think are actually interesting choices for the franchise, because I think like alarm clock wise, I think about like going to sleep sounds and waking up sounds. Mario Galaxy is the biggest shoe in. That game has such a great like tranquil soundtrack for the sleep sounds, and some really nice like vibrant sounds for waking up. I think would be really good. And then Zelda Ocarina of Time, I just think of that little like
for sure
would go so hard in the morning.
Yeah, or like I guess it's probably actually the same, like the Majora's Mask, like New Day sound. Yeah, that's the same. Now that as I say that, I feel like Wind Waker would have been my obvious Zelda one, especially with the sounds of the ocean. Like that's awesome. I love to fall asleep to the sound of like rain or water in general. So like, give me you as Link just going through the ocean with those sounds of wind going through. I mean, come on, that's an easy layup.
Layup.
Maury, I saw you had your hand up.
No. I was brushing my hair out of my face doing it. Looked bizarre,
as one does. It's a ball joke.
Sorry.
I see, because you don't have any.
Correct.
Got it. I didn't have to say it that rudely, did I? Maury, what any outside the box ones? Like maybe Nintendo opens up their fucking coin purse and is like, let's bring in some other companies than just ourselves here. What you got for me?
Sure. There's an easy answer here. To me, maybe the most iconic dialogue sound in like PlayStation exclusive history.
Okay.
Stick with me. This might be a far reach, but I think it works. How many people here have played Heavy Rain?
Oh,
Jason! Can you imagine waking up to that complete chaos? That sounds amazing. Just waking up to the sound of being screamed at by your father. Give it to me. Give it to me.
I mean, it would speak to a lot of consumers.
I'd spend 100 for it. I'd spend 100.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if we're sticking to PlayStation, wake me up to the sound of clickers. If you're gonna wake me up to the sound of warfare in the Splatoon zone,
no, that's haunting.
Like, sure. So are the ink kids getting ripped apart on Battlefield, Maury, right? Sure. So let's do some, and then Gustavo's plucking those strings for me. Come on.
Yeah. I love it.
Going purse, I'm sticking first party, but Toad screaming.
Oh, pretty good.
Or perhaps that's really good. What is with you guys?
That was impressions.
So good. And then how about Yoshi's Island Mario crying when you get hit?
Yes.
Oh, that's the worst noise in the world, and why that game is the worst mainline Mario game.
Oh, terrible. God.
Terrible video game.
Yeah, that's terrible. I saw one in the chat. Squonky Joinkers says the MGS alert sound. I mean, we can test that right now if we'd like. Let me cut the loop and let's do a little.
That's
Time
awesome.
to
Ooh.
wake up, Mori. That could be good.
That's
If you give it in there, come on. We asked our audience on Instagram. If you don't follow us at Spotlight GameSpot on Instagram, we like to ask the audience for these kinds of segments. We got a couple good ones. Gregoman X says literally anything Majora's Mask, to which I was going in the haunted route. That fucking creepy merchant and that music with his fucking laugh. Give me that all day. Liz says Link's at an obnoxious volume.
Ooh.
God, if they don't have that for the Breath Wild sounds, we do riot. And then Wheat Cognitive said the weird sigh / orgasm the Great Fairies always seem to make in Zelda games. Now we're talking. Which I was shocked are also in Echoes of Wisdom, by the way. What'd you say, Jake?
I said I can imitate that one if you guys want.
Oh, let's
do it. God, let's hear it. Give it to me.
It's pretty good.
I think it's something like that.
No.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Let us know what you think. What is missing from the Alarmo, other than just maybe a better business model? $99. Come on. Next up,
sold out.
It's sold out.
Physically sold out in the Nintendo store at New York City. Yeah.
Wow.
I always underestimate the power of the big N. Golly.
Yep.
All right. Next up, Halo has rebranded.
Has
Studios. He's putting the helmet on, folks. And they're moving to Unreal Engine. We are going to be joined for this story by Master Chief. The Xbox studio claims it has changed its culture and workflow as well. I'm again pulling from VGC, this time Andy Robinson. Halo developer 343 Industries has rebranded as Halo Studios and announced that it's working on multiple Halo games developed within Unreal Engine 5. The news was shared during Sunday's Halo World Championship tournament, in which it debuted a video showing a technical test of various Halo-themed locations running within Unreal. The studio stressed that the footage shown isn't a game, but a glimpse of what it might be able to achieve within UE5. Halo Infinite was developed using 343's own Slipspace engine, which was partly blamed for the game's last-minute, year-long delay back in 2020 and 2021, and a sluggish rollout of post-release content. Discussing Sunday's announcements, Halo studio head Pierre Hintz suggested that the switch to Unreal will help to solve some of those issues. He says, quote, "We believe that the consumption habits of gamers have changed. The expectations of how fast their content is available," he said. "On Halo Infinite, we were developing a tech stack that was supposed to set us up for the future and games at the same time," end quote. Studio art director Chris Matthews added, quote, "Respectfully, some components of Slipspace are almost 25 years old. Although 343 were developing it continuously, there are aspects of Unreal that Epic has been developing for some time, which are unavailable to us in Slipspace and would have taken huge amounts of time and resources to try and replicate. One of the primary things we're interested in is growing and expanding our world so players have more to interact with and more to experience. Nanite and Lumen, which are Unreal's rendering and lighting technologies, offer us an opportunity to do that in a way that the industry hasn't seen before. As artists, it's incredibly excited to do that work," end quote. Halo Studios also hopes that switching up to Unreal will enable it to more easily recruit new developers and get them up to speed faster. And then finally, studio head Hintz suggested that it will be some time before the public hears about its future Halo projects, stating that he wants the developer to spend less time hyping its projects without substance. Maury, we'll start with you because you have his head on your shelf. But what do we think about this kind of sweeping change at 343 to not only rebrand, but also rework their entire business model with Unreal 5?
Yeah, there's a part of me that just sighs in relief, not because I think that it resolves everything, but I think that it resolves one of the massive issues at 343, which is that despite how many people they had at that studio, it felt like they were putting out content slower than a tortoise. And that was so frustrating. I was one of the guys who went and sat outside of Best Buy from 9 p.m. to 10 a.m. to get the Halo Infinite Xbox Series X. And I went home so giddy and so excited to play this game. And I was genuinely disappointed as a Halo fan, as I have been for nearly 10 years by 343. I feel that they've let us down time and time again. And I think that by taking more of your staff away from working on the Slipspace engine, which has been so much of their trouble, it's been so much of their problem. It's why Halo Infinite took so long to come out. and just using Unreal 5, like I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. So just initial response, thank God. Let's see what they do next. Supposedly they have multiple projects at work right now.
Yeah.
Those had better be an ODST project. It better be an ODST project. I love Halo 3 ODST. Those are my initial thoughts, but we'll jump around.
Yeah. Jake, what about you? Where are you at with this?
Man, I can't believe the nerve of them to have that article end with the quote. I don't know if you still have it up, but it's something along the lines of less time hyping up projects without substance, and then they show off this project with no substance. Is absolutely fucking asinine. But man, it is tough to get hyped for anything coming out of that studio that just had a new name slapped on it. And I get that they are kind of reevaluating how they handle it, but burned so many times by 343 and then just putting a new name and kind of changing the mentality maybe works. But it seems like if you look into any like reports from that studio over the past like half decade, the issue has been hiring and contracting. Or contracting instead of hiring, that has led to the detriment of having like people that understand what Halo is supposed to be in the studio at any point. Like contracts expire and then people have to be trained on this new engine, and there's just like a lack of vision for people that are even lower on the team than the people at the head. It seems like a mess. Put out a good game and we'll talk again.
For sure.
I am massive on Halo. Halo 2 and 3 are my 1 and 2 most played video games by hours ever in my life. Like, controlled my late teens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. And Squonky Joinkers in the chat, I think, put it a really good way in terms of the way my kind of brain is thinking about it. Is it's probably good for the 10-year roadmap, but bad for the next 3 years. Like I'm glad that, because, you know, something that I cut out of the article just for the sake of time, they went through like all of the people that have left of their own volition and the people that were laid off, in terms of like just really high people, like studio directors, like like VPs, like really high positions, like creative directors. There's been like a lot of loss from really important positions when it comes to like guiding a global franchise like this that is literally the face of one of the big three. And so it's like it's one of those things where all of us want to like Halo again. Like we want, like, all of us have had a lot of fun in our past. I agree with you, Jake, that like for me, Halo 2 and 3 were my Halos. I didn't really play a whole lot after that. I did play Infinite and it just didn't work for me. But it's the kind of thing where I definitely agree with you, Jake, of like I'm glad that you are kind of laying your cards out and being like, hey, we need to kind of start over. New name, new engine. But again, like until we see something that isn't half-baked shit, like I don't know how far this goes. You know, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, because like they said, they're probably not going to be saying something for a while. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to be excited about this announcement at the jump. Because like Swanky said, like we're not going to see anything for a while about it. But the one thing I think that does excite me is hearing that they're going to try to work on more than just a mainline Halo game. Like, I loved Halo Wars. Like the strategy.
Halo Wars is so good.
Game. Like it. Like give me. Let's get weird with Halo, because you know what's not working. Just first person campaign Halo and multiplayer Halo. Like let's
just Master Chief.
Yeah, right. Let's get away from Master Chief, and maybe let's not say no to getting away from just a first person shooter. Like, is there a world in which there's like, I don't know, like a dungeon crawler of Halo that could be cool? You know what I mean? Like can we get creative with the brand if we're also going to be doing the thing that everyone expects from Halo, right? Maury, what would you like to see from them in terms of like other games that they might be working on?
Yeah, so I think I've alluded to it. I want to see an ODST project in some sense. All you have to do is take Helldivers and reskin it. It's not challenging. If you do that, literally, if you do that, every single fan who's been begging for this for years is satisfied. Patrick, I love where your mind went. I hope they feel comfortable moving outside of the first-person shooter range as well. I'd love to see a Halo Wars 3. I think that'd be awesome. Give me more of that. Less about the specific kind of games I want to see and more about what I expect from those games. there cannot be another Halo game with promises of modes that were originally in an older title available not be available on day one for that title.
Yeah.
That can never, ever, ever happen again. It happened every single time. It happened with 4, it happened with 5, it happened with Infinite. It can't happen anymore. You got to have Forge there day one. You have to have split screen co-op there day one. You have to have more than 6 effing modes in the multiplayer. When I booted that up and I saw like 6 modes in Halo Infinite's multiplayer, I was dumbfounded. I was astounded. I was a Halo Reach kid. You guys said you guys were Halo 2 and Halo 3 kids. I was a Reach kid. Okay. We had everything. We had Griffball. I loved Griffball. I actually had like a team that I played Griffball with, and I'd draw plays. I was the coach. I was a nerd for Griffball. I say that to say, they have to get back to Halo being the most complete project on the planet, because that's what I loved about Halo. Firefight, Forge, campaign, multiplayer. You got to make the most complete project in the world like we used to get, and I think they're going to gain so much respect from that. And I think now that they don't have to worry about maintaining that engine, I think we're closer to that happening than we have been for the last like decade and a half.
Probably. You're probably right about that.
But I love what Jake said. You got to show me a game now. Because I remember Infinite was supposed to be we made all these mistakes with 4. We made all these mistakes with Guardians. This is a platform that's going to be around for 10 years. Well, clearly not.
No.
Clearly Halo Infinite is not the 10-year platform. So you got to pitch me something that, I don't know, that has some legs, that can stand in a year. Why is Halo Infinite dead in 3 years? I don't understand that. So yeah, sorry. That's what.
No, I agree. I like what you said about like that. And especially now that they're saying like we're not going to announce things way in advance. We're going to wait until we have like something to show and like be closer to a release type situation. Because that was, in the 2000s when Halo 2, Halo 3 were coming out, you didn't launch modes after launch. Like that's just not how games worked, right? Like when the game went gold, when the game was released, only thing that would happen after a certain point was just like updating for bugs, but they would never release just like massive modes to the game because there just wasn't the infrastructure for that. And I feel like, I think they've been burned too many times by burning the audience too many times by not releasing a completed project. And so I feel like that's probably going to be top of mind for them going into their next game. Because I feel like part of the whole thing with Infinite was, all right, we're not going to do it again. And then what did they do? They did it again.
They did it again.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. It's goofy. Jake, did you fuck around much with Infinite? Did that click for you at all?
Yeah, man. I Halo Infinite, like, arguably, like on paper, Halo Infinite had a pretty strong launch. Do you guys remember that they put out that game, like the multiplayer for Halo Infinite, like 2 weeks early and kind of shadow dropped it on us during like their big preview event? Was like a really hype moment. And then getting in there and like the bones of Halo Infinite's multiplayer, if you don't look at it as like games of a service, had like a really strong first couple weeks. Like before you kind of got into like the nitty gritty and how like the progression worked, like those first matches of Halo Infinite that I played felt really special. They felt way better than any multiplayer that I played in Halo 4 or 5, that's for sure.
Yes.
And I was pretty hot on that game. Like I played it a lot, and it made like my game of the year list that year. I mean, granted, it came out in like I think like November or something like that. Yeah, we didn't have that much time to really spend with it, so I was pretty hot on it at the beginning. But I think it just fumbled the bag really, really badly. I mean, releasing that game and not putting a battle royale mode into it seems still like the craziest thing in the world. And that's like to follow up on the question that you were asking, like a Halo battle royale makes so much sense. And now it feels like if we're like theoretically, like if we're lucky 4 years away from the next Halo game, is it too little too late? I mean, at that point, what, Fortnite's like 12 years old or something like that?
Sure.
Like with Battle Royale, maybe you should start working on an extraction shooter, which looks like it's going to be the next thing that gets like, I would say like really, really big, which could be cool too if you're like just like a regular like foot soldier, not even like an ODST, but somebody out there and you're actually scared of like packs of elites or like the big hunter that's roaming that big open field and you're just trying to escape. Could be really cool. And then for my last pitch, stylish action third person hack and slash game starring the Arbiter.
Give me that all day. Give me that all day. That just jumped to my number one most wanted. And then I would say my number 2 most wanted. We're in a remake of Economies. I was talking an economy of remakes. I got that backwards. I talked about Silent Hill 2 for 15 minutes earlier. Like why don't we just remake from the ground up Halo 2? Like, I know we have the Master Chief Collection, and it was like, it's a remaster at the end of the day, but get a Halo 2 to look like, better than Infinite, because it's going to be an Unreal Engine 5. Like, I feel like that's an easy win to do, like an RE2 style remake. Maybe you add a couple new bells and whistles to it, but launch with all those modes, launch with all of the things that you would expect from a remake of like a Halo 2 or a Halo 3 or a Reach. Like, I feel like that could be, if that was the first thing that they launched as like a, hey, we're in this new engine, we're making a bunch of new Halo projects, and this is the first one that y'all are going to get to play. I feel like that could play really well with an audience. What do y'all think?
Most definitely. I think about, like, for like the bonus content, this is a terrible comparison to make, but something like Sonic Shadow Generations, right? Like, if they bring back Halo 2 and they really like maybe embellish and give us a little side story of, I'm going back to the Arbiter again, but always so fascinated, like that side of the story, we get to see it play out, but there's a lot leading up to it that we don't see. It could be a cool way to explore that story as well. Use that engine that you just built and fill out that story a little bit more. I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think it's a slam dunk. It's a super easy way of getting some goodwill going into whatever you're going into next. At the same time, I love what Jake said earlier, because I remember I was there those first few weeks of Infinite. Going through that Fall of Reach battle pass and getting all that armor was sick. The moment I realized that like there wasn't a progression system outside of like battle pass levels, I was sick to my stomach. It didn't work. I say that to say, I don't know that 343 has had a single good launch outside of them reproducing content that Bungie made. So I don't know if it helps them to yet again say, hey, look, our only wins is just redoing what Bungie did.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it that way. They might want to have their first win be something that they make themselves, that Halo Studios makes.
Yeah,
that's a very good point. Any final thoughts on Halo before we get to our last surprise news story?
I don't think so.
I hope we don't talk about it for a long time.
Me too.
Same.
Me too. Put Master Chief in his little cage. Let him hibernate. Let him rest up. Let him get strong. I want to end the show by talking about Shakespeare, boys. Grand Theft Hamlet. Have either of you heard of this Grand Theft Hamlet? Does this ring any bells?
In passing, what's going on?
So, award-winning documentary shot entirely in GTA Online is coming to US cinemas. Grand Theft Hamlet is about two actors trying to perform Hamlet in the game. This is, again, VGC, but Chris Scully this time. I was lazy and pulling stories for today. An award-winning documentary shot entirely within Grand Theft Auto Online is set to get a U.S. theatrical run next year. Grand Theft Hamlet was shot during the COVID-19 lockdown and tells the story of two unemployed actors who decided to try staging a performance of Hamlet within GTA Online. As reported by The Hollywood Reporter, art house distributor Mubi, I don't know how you say that, has now acquired the U.S. cinema rights and the global streaming rights for the documentary. The film premiered at South by Southwest earlier this year and won the Jury Award for Documentary Feature. A Hollywood Reporter review also called the movie, quote, innovative, highly amusing, and often touching. It's January 2021. Its official description reads, the UK has just entered its third lockdown and all theaters remain closed. For actors Sam and Mark, the future looks bleak. As the pandemic drags on, Mark, who lives alone, is increasingly socially isolated while Sam is panicking about how he's going to support his family. They channel their midlife frustrations by immersing their avatars in the horrifically violent yet beautifully rendered virtual world of Grand Theft Auto Online. They steal cars and shoot strangers, but also find moments of calm reflection walking through meadows of wildflowers. In one gaming session, they stumble across a theater and have an idea. Why not stage Hamlet inside the game? Well, there are several reasons why not, chiefly that most people in the game are intent on murderous destruction, not polite appreciation of theatrical production. But wasn't theater just as dangerous and rowdy a business in Shakespeare's time, Mori? And isn't Hamlet a play about revenge, the perfect choice for this piece? What a weird fucking story.
Wow.
Crazy pitch.
Insane pitch, but
I'm kind of bought in.
Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I definitely want to see it.
Because Hamlet, for those of you that don't know, widely considered to be one of the greatest plays ever written. I don't know that I necessarily subscribe to that, but a lot of people say it's Shakespeare's best, blah, blah, blah. But just the choice of doing Hamlet, which is a fucking long play, in Grand Theft Auto Online, I think is just the most batshit insane thing. And the fact I never knew that there was a documentary about it. I had heard about it, but I didn't know that there was a documentary being made. And the fact that it's won awards at major film festivals.
The fact that it's getting a theatrical release.
Yeah.
What's happening? What's happening? Wow.
So I'm just saying, if you like Hamlet, if you like Grand Theft Auto Online, and if you like when things come together that don't make a lot of sense, Grand Theft Hamlet going to a theater near you, maybe. In 2025. If you guys could produce any piece of art, it doesn't have to be theater, within a game, what jumps to mind, Mori, for you?
Oh, if there's one, are we assuming it's in Grand Theft Auto Online?
It can be. It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
If you want to be in Splatoon 3 for a war zone,
no, I'm not watching the little squid kids get ripped apart on screen. No. I guess I would use GTA Online, or maybe like probably Red Dead 2 Online. That might be better. I don't know. To do a full iteration of Les Mis.
Let's go.
Yeah. And guess what? As Jean Valjean, give me Patrick Schweiger, motherfucker. Stop. Give me him. I would do Les Mis. I would love to see that. What would you do?
Remind me, Maury or Jake, the Assassin's Creed game in France, whose name is escaping me right now.
Unity.
Unity.
Yeah.
Did that have an online mode?
Yeah.
It's probably dead.
That was
now.
this
Like
big
the
pitch,
servers are
4-player
probably
co-op.
down. That's right. It might be able to, if we get creative, we might be able to do it in Assassin's Creed Unity, Maury.
Okay, so here's my pitch. We all have to get together now, and Jake, you can take any role you want, and we're all going to do at least one song.
He would slay Javert, and you know it, Maury.
Oh, he would body Javert.
God.
Oh.
Count me in.
Let's go. No, I don't know that I have, I didn't tell you guys about this story. I wanted you to not come prepared because I wanted to hear your surprise in the fact that Grand Theft Hamlet exists. So I didn't think about this at all in terms of what I would suggest. I do love a little Les Mis in one of those. I think, Shakespeare, I feel like is an easy choice also because it's public domain. So you're not going to get sued. You're going to get sued if you do Les Mis within something like that, probably. Sure. But Squonky Joinker's in the chat. A Midsummer Night's Dream, Heads Rise Up.
Ooh.
So another Shakespeare right there. But yeah, what a weird
awesome
choice. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's all I got for us. A little Hamlet, a little Halo, and a little alarm clock business. The Dirty Dogs together for the first time.
Dirty Dogs.
On a podcast. What a time. A tight 52, can I say?
Very tight. Yeah. I'm surprised. I felt like we would have yapped a bit longer.
I know. Well, the three of us, dare I say, efficient.
Yeah.
Dare I say. Maury, Jake, thanks for being on the show. Maury, where can the folks at home follow you? And maybe if you want to say right here, right now, if you're going to be streaming tonight, I give you the floor, good sir.
Yes. You can find me everywhere at GWTMori. That's Twitch, Twitter, X. Screw that guy. I'm calling it Twitter. I'm calling it Twitter. Instagram, all the above, GWTMori. And am I going to be streaming tonight? Yes, I will be streaming tonight at some point. I will update it in the Discord. Yes. For some Last of Us Part 2.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
JakeTwitchin, as always, thank you for being here. Where can the folks at home follow you and see you next on the internet?
Thank you for having me. A pleasure, as always. AmazingStreamer.com. You're all adults. You can figure it out from there. Merch just dropped. It's a wonderful, wonderful little website, and it'll get you where you need to go.
If I may, JakeTwitchin, the short stream bandit, plays a little of a lot and a lot of a little. The biggest variety streamer on Twitch, not because of the size of his channel, but because of the sheer amount of games he manages to cover there. Go ahead and give JakeTwitchin a follow real quick. I'm sorry. You
got to do this.
I'm really good at this.
He's too good at it.
He needs to pay me more, but I'm sorry. Yeah.
Jake, that cat you were just scratching. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Not a euphemism.
Not a
Richard.
euphemism. That was a living cat, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. He's yelling at me to leave the office right now. He can wait a couple minutes.
He can wait.
Yeah.
That's Richard.
Ooh,
Named
come on,
because
Richard.
he's a dick. But he's a good guy. A little stream homie. He's been around for a long time. He's 9 years old. He looks like he's 3. Very good, docile little guy until anything moves, and then he is absolutely insane.
I love that.
Mental capacity of a creature much smaller than him.
I love that. For those watching, you might see that I'm wearing a shirt with about 95 cats on it. So I'm a cat boy. So I saw a cat. And I was like, I got questions. I need answers.
Yeah.
You can follow me at pschwussy everywhere. The rebrand is official and complete. But more importantly, you can follow the pod on Twitter at SpotGamesPod and everywhere else at Spotlight Games Pod. That's right here on twitch.tv/. That is also on YouTube. That is on TikTok. And that is on Instagram. We're live every Tuesday, unless the schedule gets goofy like it did this week. But usually we are live every Tuesday right here at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And for the rest of October, we're going to be streaming once a week with Rose, a little spooky stream. Next week, the game actually has not been decided yet. We might do Costume Quest 2, because after Silent Hill 2, we kind of want something a little lighter. But TBD, TBA, follow us and we'll tell you. But then also this coming Monday, me and the gamble worth taking, Mori, are going to be playing some Resident Evil 5 co-op. Are we going to finish the game? Maybe, maybe not. Shout out to all the new folks in the chat today. Squonky Joinkers, D-Guns. You're not new, but Pinksy, I just love saying that beautiful name of yours. Pinksy, thanks for being here. We will be back next week. Thanks for being here. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing, because I know you want to. Have a great rest of your week. And until then, bye-bye.